Hello and welcome. You are listening to the At Home with Ifeno podcast. This podcast is for anyone, male and female, who believes that the home is the cornerstone and foundation of a flourishing society and a better world. Here, we'll guide you through the intricate journey of building a home that's not just a physical space. Whether you are single, preparing to share your life with another, a couple cultivating a shared dream, or parents tending to the garden of their children's hearts. Every other week, we'll talk about topics like practical tips on managing family finances, creating a beautiful home, conversations on courtship, marriage, parenting, and much more. The At Home with Ifeno podcast offers a rich tapestry of inspiration and support. Join us as we explore creating homes where love resides, families thrive in wisdom, and the seeds of a brighter future are sown, just as God intended. I am your host, Isioma Daniels. Hello and welcome to At Home with Ifeno. How are you today? Wow. Time is always ticking. This is August. Can you believe it? August. Very soon we'll be saying Merry Christmas. But don't be afraid. I know you have goals, you have things you want to achieve. But one thing I want you to do is, can you just please enjoy your journey as you live every day? Do you know that life is beyond ticking the boxes? Life is beyond, one achievement which are important. Why do I say so? Because in my little experience of my journey, I found out that after you finish one goal or you achieve one goal, then before you know what, that one passes and then you're already looking for something else. And in between all the strategy and goals and, the things you dream of are moments that we must savor, we must enjoy, even with our family. Before you know what, your children are all grown up. I tell you, once they get into secondary school, before you know what, they are already adults, and you are wondering how did you do it? And then as adults, you can't just dish out instructions like you used to do as toddlers or preteens. Now you need to even ask them when they are coming to see you as parents. So please, let's savor the moment as we journey and enjoy our lives. So today is a great day. Yeah. I have someone that is not a visitor or a guest.
Hello,
I have
everyone.
Isioma
Good
Daniels in the building.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Isi, for coming again. You are welcome. You're welcome. So, how have you been, Isi, since we last heard from you or we listened to you? I hope you are doing great. I know Talk with Isi is growing, and just to say well done for what you do on Talk with Isi. At Home with Ifeno, we are watching you, we are following you, we appreciate your posts on social media, encouraging us about wellness, about our mental health, about believing and loving who God has created us to be. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you very much. I've been doing very well, thank you, and it's good to be back here, Ifeno. Thank you.
Okay, so today's topic is tagged Family Boundaries, Protecting Self, Connecting Well. Family Boundaries, Protecting Self, and Connecting Well. On the At Home with Ifeno podcast, we view our conversations from a biblical perspective. Although the Bible doesn't use the term boundaries, like we have just mentioned, family boundaries, in the same way that modern psychology does, we can see biblical viewpoints on personal responsibility, on discernment, on structure, on forgiveness, and even on that topic that we say boundaries. So with this above perspective that I've just rolled out, what would you say it means to have boundaries within a family? What are family boundaries?
Okay, thank you very much, Ifeno. This is a conversation that is very close to my heart because when I speak about boundaries, I'm always quick to say boundaries has helped me be a better person first, and then a better wife, a better mother, and a better individual to people around me. So before I go to family boundaries, I would just give a definition of boundaries, and this is from the Oxford Dictionary. It says boundaries is a real or imagined line that marks the limits and separates it from one place or another. And then it just says a dividing line. So let's just take the word dividing line. And remember, it says a real or imagined. Now, I think this definition is important because in life, we are all governed by boundaries. Some of them are very unconscious. I give an example. You go to a hotel. When you enter the hotel, sometimes there's that small sheet of paper that you can put outside your door that says, do not disturb. That's a boundary. So when the cleaners are coming or when you ask for a meal, once they see do not disturb, they would not knock on your door. If they do that, they will get into trouble because they are crossing an imaginary line. Let's look at schools where children go to. You pay the school fees, plenty money you pay to them. You go to the schools, you know, teachers are happy to see you, but you cannot just step into the school at any time. Sometimes if you want to pick up your child for an emergency or something, you have to call. So that's another boundary to parents. Yes, you pay the school fees. Yes, your child is here. But during lesson time, you cannot come and interrupt a class of 30 children because of XYZ without letting someone know. So before you cross that line, someone has to know. Now let's bring it closer to home. When we were growing up, when I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, we didn't have so many gated estates. That's estates that you have to ring before you are given access. But right now, it's a big thing in Nigeria. I would say Lagos that I'm still, familiar with. Most people live and opt to live in estates that have gates because they don't want people just coming into their house. They want to know who is coming, when you are coming. Why are we doing that? For our peace of mind. Now let's go back to growing up where we didn't have estates and any auntie or uncle or anybody could come. Even with that, every house had a door. Before you entered anybody's house, you have to knock or ring the bell. So that door is a boundary. You don't leave your door opened. You don't leave your door unlocked. Why? You don't want anyone just coming in and going out. You want to control what is happening. So unconsciously or consciously, we all live in an environment and society where we are governed by boundaries and we obey them when it's outside the home. So now let's go back to the home and boundaries within the home. I mean, with all these examples I've given, it's very easy. If you can't allow anyone into your estate, they have to call. Why would you allow certain behaviors happen in the home? Why would you say you're in your house, you all eat together during dinner time, and you've said it's a time to connect? So why would you allow your child bring out their device? Let's even drop the child. Why would you yourself, mommy or daddy, bring out your device and start pressing the phone when you know meal time is a time to connect? Why is it hard for us to follow boundaries outside the home? Why is it hard for us to tell our friend, I'm not at home today, please don't come and visit, come another day? But when it comes to within the home, we're not strong enough to enforce those boundaries. So boundaries within the home, what does it mean? It just means trying to create an environment where everyone is able to function in a way that everyone is seen, everyone is heard, and no one is crossing that line that has been set. Now, I say that line that has been set because you have to be intentional about setting boundaries. You cannot make assumptions and say, don't you know you are not supposed to? No, you have to be intentional. So boundaries within the home is that intentional line that we set that people should not cross.
Wow. So if Isi is telling us that we don't need a gate inside our house necessarily, but there are things that I won't say unconsciously, but we need to be intentional in setting the boundaries. And in a family, she has told us that we, the parents, are the ones to be role models to make sure that these boundaries are adhered to. So, Isi, can you give us some effective strategies for communicating boundary needs, especially when it feels uncomfortable? So many times it won't be comfortable. So are there one or two strategies that could help us keep reinforcing or reminding ourselves even when it doesn't feel comfortable?
Okay, thank you for that question. Most of the time, boundaries would not feel comfortable. The example I used about taking your child to school, especially when it's like the first day or the first week, you would have moms always say, oh, I want to go, but they would say you can't go, and then they are the first to go and pick their children from school. So there's that, will she be happy? So yes, boundaries will not always be comfortable. So what I would say is start small. Don't just wake up one day and say, this has to change. No, you have to start small, and you have to be patient and consistent. So if I use an example, if you want to create boundaries around the use of media and phones in your house, what I do, and please understand that your boundaries shouldn't be like mine. For different homes, it's different things that will work. So don't go and visit your cousin and see what they are doing and say, what have I been doing with my life? Look at how the children are well behaved. She says she's doing this, she says she's doing that. And then you get home all of a sudden, don't do this, don't do that. You can't go to bed at 8 o'clock. Meanwhile, the children have been used to going to bed at 10. And they're asking you, Mom, why should we go to bed at 8? And you say, because your cousin is well grounded. That's not a reason. That's not a reason. So start small, be patient. Don't do it because of what other people... Yes, it's good to see what other people are doing, but when you want to create those boundaries, look at your family. Find a reason that makes sense. Now, that reason may not be agreeable with everyone, but it makes sense. You have to go to bed at 8. You can't be going to bed at 10 because you wake up tired. You have a long day. If you go to bed at 8, you would wake up earlier, and then you're able to manage yourselves, and we're not rushing out of the house. So you must have a reason that, it makes sense. Like I said, it may not be agreeable, but it makes sense. And the other thing is, I would say, is start early. In my house right now, in everyone's room, there's like an A4 printout of, what time their phones, my children's phones, go off during exams, the number of hours they're allowed, for the apps on their phone, like the Shein app and the shopping app, because I have 2 teenage girls. For those apps, they have a limited time that they spend on those apps, and their phone is connected to their dad's phone. So their dad monitors how much time they spend on the app. Their phone is also connected to their dad's phone, because if they have crossed the line, their dad turns off the Wi-Fi on their phone, or he turns off the phone so they don't have access to the phone. So that's one way we manage boundaries. So let there be clear communication, and start early. If possible, put a printout of their room so that they are looking at it every day. They know this is the rule I must follow. if I break the rule, this is what will happen. And for that printout, which I will call a family agreement, let everyone sign it. I'm buying this phone for you. It's my money. If you want the phone, this is how you should behave. If you don't behave this way, and it's not mean, it's not you being mean. Understand that sometimes there will be estrangement when you're trying to create boundaries. And that's because our children spend so much time in school and they see people telling them, oh, your mom shouldn't let you do that. Your mom is so mean. So they would come back and try to push the boundaries, But you have to, that's why you have to. So it may sound like you're going overboard, but that's why I said let them understand why those boundaries are in place and let everyone be in agreement.
Wow, let everyone know the why of the boundaries that we are trying to inculcate in our families. Let everyone know the why. When they know the why, even when it's not comfortable, over time, and you said something, we need to start small but be consistent. So sometimes as parents, we just feel, oh, I don't want to look mean. I don't want, and even the children, they use that phrase, And Isi said something, these children, they communicate from school, as in they talk a lot, and you see them comparing as in this person's home, what is going on and everything. So when they come back, it's like they have built a force. The truth is that children always want to push your boundaries. They want to test you as parents. So we must be prepared. When they are coming, we must know that this is where they are coming from. And we should not take it as if it's a fight or a war, but with wisdom, you still go back to what has been agreed. Isi has encouraged us to sign such, boundary agreements so that let it be binding and everyone has a copy. As she was saying it, I was smiling because something similar has happened in my house. So I keep reminding my son that go and look at your paper very well.
And can I just chip in, Ifeno, that when you have to be able to also, get the right time to do those agreements. Get it at a time when everybody is happy. Maybe you just came back from holiday. Everyone's moods are lifted. Maybe during Christmas, people just got present. Just look for a way to chip it in. Don't do it like an authoritarian. Everybody, come here, sign this paper. Don't do that. Look for a time when everyone is relaxed and their guards are down. Otherwise, it will be hard.
And we have been encouraged to start early. Many times we feel our children are still young, and no, not the ones we have today. They are way ahead of you that you don't know. So thank you, Isi, for giving us those effective strategies. Now, how can I think you've said something about how setting this can help in our intimacy and connection with family. So can you tell us some practical examples of healthy emotional boundaries, how they look like? And I want to say this is now beyond that nuclear family. So I'm talking about beyond your children and your husband. As listeners are listening now, okay, so maybe the boundaries they are struggling with are boundaries with family members, extended family members. So what will you say about that part of our, being part of a family that is extended? How boundaries, because sometimes extended family members, some people want to sniff around, some people want to get involved in your nuclear family business. So what will you say about how to manage such boundaries with extended family members?
Okay, thank you, Ifeno. So first and foremost, man and woman come together, they get married, they have their children, and that's your immediate family. And we still have the grandparents, aunties, uncles, siblings that we lived with. I always tell people when setting boundaries, especially for your children and also for yourself, remember that you have your children for a season. They would leave the house one day. So you have to realize and always, as much as possible, put your immediate family first, not just your children, also your spouse, So open communication is very important when setting boundaries with extended family. Because, like I said earlier, you go to someone's house, you see what they are doing, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you do it for your child? It would work." Let some families may say, let the girls be the ones to tidy the house. The boys should not do the tidying up. Train him to be a man, and that is not what entails in your house. That's not what you want for your children. So how do you say, thank you for your advice, but this is what we do? Sometimes silence is golden. Sometimes we need to speak out, So when it comes to like aunties, uncles giving advice on your children, do what works for you. I'm not saying say no all the time. You can say yes to some, but do what works for you. But again, when you want to set those boundaries, please communicate with your husband and your children. Don't just take advice from, we have to, I don't want to say they are strangers, but this is my family. This is how I want my family to run. I'm grateful for how I grew up. And some people set boundaries because of what happened to them in the past, because of what they saw. I saw my dad coming. I'm not talking about, I'm just giving an example. My dad always came back late from work. So I'm going to be intentional on taking a job that I close on time. I'm going to be intentional on taking a job that I don't travel too much. I and my wife have agreed that she takes a job where she's able to do the school runs. Again, it has to be an agreement because we understand some women want to follow their careers, So there has to be that agreement. Then you have to be, what's the word now? You have to be content with your agreement. For me personally, this is true story. I said I wasn't going to take a job that, would take me away from my children because I didn't want to have nannies. And then I saw my friends, high flyers. But for one day, I never envied them because I was like, this is what I want for myself. If I decide to be I love women that, have committed to their career and they're still able to manage the home. It works for them, but this is what works for me. So when I see, women doing well, big cars, big houses, it doesn't face me or it doesn't move me or make me feel like I'm missing out on something because I made the decision to stay with my children for my own peace of mind. I'm not saying those people don't have peace of mind, please understand me. And that's why I said earlier, boundaries work differently. I'd always said that I would not have nannies. And this is because I've always loved the children's department right from when I was little. And I've always volunteered in crèches, during summer holidays. And I see parents dropping off their 3 months old. I see how they bond with the nannies in the daycare and they don't want to go home. And I always said, I won't do that to my child. It works for them, but it doesn't work on because I want that bond. And I'm happy I made that decision because I can say I have a good relationship with my children who are teenagers and, would one day leave the home. So I would say open communication with family members. Adopt the principle of do as I do, not do as I say. You tell your children and you tell your siblings, please, when my children are around you, we don't dance to this kind of music at home. And then you go to your brother's house, your brother is playing that kind of music. You and your brother are now dancing, hey, yes, so bedu. And your children are like, but mom said we don't dance to this kind of music. So don't just do as I do. And then you go outside, you lose yourself. Your children are watching and they're like, is mom serious? So don't let people take you for granted. And it leads me to the third point. Don't break your boundaries. Like I said, you agree as a family and then you go out and you agree as a family that everything that happens within the family is settled within the family. And then your children go and spend the weekend with grandparents and grandma is asking, oh, your dad said this happened at school. How are you managing it? Your dad said you're struggling with maths. Did he get you a teacher? Meanwhile, you discuss this issue as a family, and you all agree that this is my child's weakness. We would all work together to support him, but I don't want people outside to see this weakness. But you go and tell your dad, and then grandparents is now bringing it up with the child. The child will feel disappointed. So please remember, don't break your promise to your children. Don't, carry issues or matters that, yes, you're looking for help. Sometimes we say, oh, mommy, pray for me. Sometimes you don't even need to mention the issue. Just say, pray for the children and their school subject. You can be vague. You don't need to call names and be direct. Because once you start doing that, you're breaking the boundaries that you have set with your family because you want to, still maintain the family relationship. So I think the most important thing is that understanding your immediate family comes first at every point in time. And that when you're with your extended family, don't lose yourself because everyone is talking about what happened in their family. It doesn't mean you should also bring your own family issue if you have agreed that you will not talk about it. So please always put your immediate family first.
Wow. Don't lose who you are in the midst of your extended family. And I like what Isi just said at the end, that everyone is contributing to a discussion and people are reeling out, maybe what is happening in their homes. I buy into that very well because I do that. I could be with a group of friends and everyone said something. And if I honestly don't have anything to say, I won't say anything. That's as in I'm very comfortable because many times we are tempted to just talk because other people are talking, and sometimes you now find out that you say something that you might regret later and wonder, why did you even open your mouth to speak? So why we are talking about these boundaries is that we are trying to see how we can connect well with our immediate family. Yes, you came from a family, but now that you are married, that is your focus for now. Prioritize that unit, appreciate the extended family advice, take it with wisdom. You don't need to say yes or no necessarily, but you can just listen. At the end of the day, you are the one that will make the final decision and know what works for you. So Isi, we're wrapping up gradually, but in our topic, I said family boundaries, protecting self, connecting well, protecting self. How does the boundaries protect us as individuals? As in, how does it, as in, what way are we protecting ourselves? Even though, yes, we have our family now and the extended family, what is the importance of protecting ourselves by using these family boundaries?
Okay, so remember I said that children have a, in quotes, limited time because eventually they would leave home. So the boundaries you set today is what will guide them through life tomorrow. And that is one way of protecting yourself. Parents want their children to always be their children. They don't want their children to end up being strangers. They leave the house and they're like, thank you, Jesus, I'm free, no more. So you are protecting your well-being, your peace of mind. Because what is the joy of motherhood, parenthood, fatherhood, if your child grows up successful in his career, marries a good woman, but doesn't want to connect with you? So what's the joy? And that's why boundaries is important. You're protecting your future. You're also protecting the marriage. The marriage is very important because sometimes we focus on the children and we forget the marriage. And that's why when you're setting boundaries, it's always good for mommy and daddy to be on board. Yes, one parent will be stronger and one parent will be termed the main parent. In my home, that is me. And I've been telling my children, yes, that's the truth. I've been telling my children over and over again, please give me my award for meanest mom. Let me put it on the wall and beginning
It's
to
the same. It's the same in my house too.
tell them. In fact, the second daughter, because we're always hitting heads together. She gave me a pack, I think 2-3 Christmases ago, and on the frame it says Mrs. Always Right. So yes, there are times when you would not agree, but eventually they would come to understand that this is the reason why my mom was doing this. This is the reason why my dad was doing it. It's for my own good. So I would just say that when we talk about protection, it's also protecting from, there's so much happening outside of the home. The children spend so much time in school, so you want to build that confidence in your child. You want to build that social interaction. You want your children to talk to people and they are looking at them face to face. They are not looking down, or they are not trying to hide behind their phones because they are not confident, So it also builds the children up if, you spend quality time with them, because that is another thing that boundaries would help you to do. It will help you spend quality time, especially boundaries with devices. I see young mothers these days pushing their babies in the pram, pressing their phone. Their babies are trying to look at their moms. Their moms are not looking at them. When they enter the bus, they give the child a phone. So from before the child is even 1, they know how to open phones. So when that child is 5 years old, how would you set social media boundaries, media boundaries, where you can't spend more than 2 hours on the phone per day when the child is already addicted to the phone? So boundaries is just about protecting your well-being. You don't want to, work so hard, stress yourself, do your best for everyone, and then when you're older, there's no one around you because you were just like, everything goes, do what makes you happy. And then people lose themselves and they say, oh, why were you not firm? Why didn't you tell me this was the wrong thing to do? Why did you allow me stay awake? Why did you allow me watch these programs? It messed up with my memory. Why did you allow me go to sleepovers? I don't allow my children go to sleepovers. They have quarreled over and over and over and called me the meanest. I say, it's fine. Very soon you will end how you set it. You will have your freedom. The only thing I can do is pray for you. But hopefully by the time they, see what happens when they are on their own, they understand this is what this woman called my mother was protecting me from. So let's look at the bigger picture. It's not just them making them happy now and wanting to be the coolest parents with your child and not wanting to make them feel guilty. What is the bigger picture? Why are you setting these boundaries? And as I always say, boundaries must be set from a place of love.
Thank you, Isi. It has been an amazing time on At Home with Ifeno. Family boundaries, protecting self and connecting well. So what will be your closing words to our listeners? What would you say? This is what you should do or should take note of so that our families will be well integrated, despite all the noise around, and we will be protecting ourselves once we see the importance of family boundaries. Your closing words, Isi.
Okay, so my closing words, like I said earlier, we have to set realistic boundaries and we have, open and clear communication. Now, I'm not sure where this Bible passage is from, but it says, can two walk together unless they agree? Can two walk together unless they agree? Families have to be in agreement as much as possible because the world is changing. Growing up, we had so much good social connection. We had cousins, we had aunties where we could go to their house, we could stay, and there was that trust. But the world has changed. There's so much migration. There's so much moving up and down, and that social interaction we had with extended family, it's not there like before, So the family is now the main place where we need to build our children and get them ready for the future, where we also need to build our home. Let's not forget marriage too, where we also need to build our home. So let's make our homes a safe haven for our children and ourselves. And most importantly, we want the children to always remain our children. We want them to come back to us. Boundaries are not you being mean. Like I said earlier, what is the bigger picture? You don't want the child to get lost in the system. So boundaries are there to protect. Boundaries are there to guide. Your office tells you be at work at 9. You would be at work at 9. So why would it be hard to tell your child go to bed at 8? Why? Why? Because you want to be the cool parent, because your neighbor allows them to stay awake till 10. Doesn't work for the child. Their body system is different. Their journey in life is different. Some may need to study more. Some may need to rest more. So please, let's do what works for us. And like Ifeno brought up, establishing boundaries with family members. Some of us, we are scared of conflict. We don't want to go back and forth with my sister. My sister said, my elder sister that took care of all of us, she said every Christmas I should bring the children to the village. And because she took care of me, I have to bring them. My husband says no. And then it causes quarrel between you and your husband. Explain to your sister, this doesn't work. This is my family. It doesn't work for us. We have decided to spend Christmas this way. Yes, your sister may be upset, but with time she would understand, because again, look at the bigger picture. How much of that family member that you are trying to please, how much of them is in that picture? So yes, we grew up together, but everyone has their life to live. Everybody has their family. Every now and again, we will come together and meet. But please, let us respect one another's boundaries, because I really know that it's very hard to set boundaries in some places. In the home, it's very hard with external relations. And it's also hard in church. We don't want to say no in the house of God. And I've experienced this. I don't want to say no. I'm taking on so much work. But inside me, I'm angry. What's the point? Say no. Prioritize your well-being. Understand why they're saying no. Somebody else will do that work that you're not able to do, because you have to put yourself and your family first. So I would just say closing remarks again is, can two work together? And when I say can two, I mean, can a family work together unless they agree? As much as possible, let's be in agreement with one another.
Wow, can two work together except they agree? Can a family be well connected, protected, connected well, and kept from all? Let's build our homes together. Let everyone be on the same page. It might not happen comfortably. It might not happen immediately. Let's not do it like we're in the military ground. We're not fighting a war per se with ourselves. Let's see ourselves as a team. There's no enemy necessarily if we see it in the right way as a family. The enemies are actually outside, though. They are outside because the goal of God as a family unit is that we should work together as a team. But there will always come that external force to stop us from working as a team that can always win. Thank you, Isi. You've made my year. You've made my 2025 for being on a team with Ifeno.
Wow, thank you so much.
Consistently, I honestly didn't. My sister doesn't mean I can just barge into her doors like we're talking about. I can't just say, we are going to, even to agree, to come and do this today. I had to work with Isi's time. I couldn't enforce it on her because I'm her elder sister. No. I had to work with her time. We had to come to an agreement, and that's what it should be in our homes between our spouses, but not our children yet. Because I'm sure that picture. Why? They are still developing. Their minds are not as matured as their physical body has grown. Let's not be deceived. These children are still growing. And if you look at science, it says until about 24 or so, their brains are not yet fully matured to take the right decisions. So thank you, Isi. And I look forward to having you again.
That's fine. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And well done. You're doing a great job. We appreciate you, Ifeno. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on the At Home with Ifeno podcast. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17 and on YouTube at Home with Ifeno podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch every new episode and leave us a comment so we can build a strong community. See you in 2 weeks' time.